Hello and welcome. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. This is the Backdrop CMS user group for Thursday, the 14th of August 2025 in most parts of the world. And today we're just doing some lightning talks on things that people want to demonstrate. We've got a couple of module demonstrations and we're open to anything else that anyone wants to bring. I think if you're ready, we'll start with you, Tim.
Sure.
You had some good progress on the subscriptions module, I believe.
Well, are we doing introductions first?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Let's.
Okay. Well, I'll start my
Sorry.
introduction.
We'll do introductions. So,
Okay.
yeah.
My name is Tim Erickson. I'm St. Paul Tim. I'm in Deerwood, Minnesota, and I I have a partial demo of like the subscriptions module and the notify module, which are similar. And I'm looking for feedback from other people. And if we have time at the end, I'd also like to ask people about like IP banning modules. But that's it. Justin, do you want to go next?
Uh, Justin, Colorado, and
Oh,
or Justin Christopherson in Denver, Colorado. uh, I've worked on the occasional module port and help with infrastructure.
thank you. The other Justin?
Hey, Justin Kaiser in Muncie, Indiana. Um, I contrib modules a lot, more than core, but I'm in a bit of a lull right now, so we'll see if I get back to it.
And I'll just hop in. I'm Nate Lampton, um, usually calling in from Oakland, California, in Vancouver at the moment, and I'm the technical lead for the Backdrop project, and I'm just here helping to moderate. So, ta-da.
Okay. Martin, so you want me to go ahead and jump in?
Yeah, if you want to
Okay,
go first, I mean, I'm happy to
sure.
go.
So I said sort of a partial demo because we have a client that used to use the subscriptions module on Drupal, but they didn't really leverage it, or we just updated them to Backdrop. And this is a site with tens of thousands of nodes and lots of content. And they publish content daily. And they had the subscriptions module so that people could subscribe in theory to be notified of new content. However, it hasn't really been working for a long time on their site. So very few people actually were using it, but they're still interested in maybe getting it going again. We noticed that, in fact, the subscriptions module hadn't been ported. So I asked about this in the forum, like, is there an alternative? And Martin, you replied with the node notify. We looked at the node notify module, and that seemed to be mostly about notifications regarding comments. So people comment on a node, you get notified. You also mentioned that's what we're using in the forum, because in the forum you can get notifications of certainly, well, of new posts or comments. And I thought, well, I think there is some custom code involved in that in our forum module for Backdrop CMS. But um, so we went ahead and started porting the subscriptions module. In the process today, I noticed that there's also just a notify module, which in theory should be doing something like the subscriptions module. I haven't played around with these a lot, but I do have them installed. And I thought what we on sites, dev sites here, what we can at least do is just look at them together at the UI, just sort of get a sense of what they do. The subscriptions one, in theory, is supposed to be working, but my test, well, I'll show you. But first of all, I have to deal with my quirky. There we go. I'm going to share my screen. So I have a couple of dev sites in the background. That's not that. Okay, this is the subscriptions module. We're actually getting an error on this, and we haven't released the subscriptions module yet, but it is available if anybody wants to test it or help us with it. It's available in the contrib space. Let's start out with just the notify module. What we could do, well, I don't think that the forum is the best implementation of this. But we can show one example in the wild, which is in the backdrop forum. I think in theory, you have the ability to do you subscribe? I forget to topics.
I think if you go into a topic, you can.
Yeah, this is
it's quite hidden away.
Right. I think it's very like the UI is not good for this. When I'm in a specific topic, I can follow a forum, or in this case, stop following a forum. I already am. And you know, it seems very odd that on the forum page, there's no option to subscribe to the forum or stop. But there is on individual topics. I don't know if you can subscribe to just a topic. I feel like if you create a topic, you're automatically subscribed to it. I'm not sure. Anyways, this is one example.
If you reply to it as well.
Right. This is one example of using this. I get notifications. I think personally, I get email notifications for any new topic in the forum, also for comments. I'm pretty sure. So the notify, and this is not the node notify. Again, is focused on comments, like notifying you comments. On this site, I have the notify module, and there were no. I'm pretty sure there were no submodules that were required. Let's look at it quick. So comes with one submodule, notify views integration. I haven't looked at that yet, but there's no requirements. If we go into the config is here under user accounts, and it basically lets you pick how often this. I'm not sure yet about the subscriptions module, but this lets you get digests or to be. I think to be notified of individual posts or to get like daily digests that will list all of the posts of that day. Then you can say, how often do you want those sent out? This is a site-wide configuration, what time of the day to send it out, a number of things like that. Not too many settings here. I haven't played with this. Let's come back and look at this after we create one new item. And see if that actually works. Skip flags, we'll see that in a second. So if you go to whatever, okay, here's a table of everybody that has notifications. If I go to my user page, I get the ability to either enable or disable the notify module in general. For a while, it wasn't working, and then I realized it's because I have to actually also enable this one, notify of new content. So you have the ability to notify of new content, new comments, and then what do you want in your notifications? Title only, title teaser, title body, and what type of content I want to subscribe to. Let's go to an example node and see if there is no notification option on this page. So I might have to do it that way. The subscriptions module we'll see in a minute. When you visit the page, there's like a subscribe link to it. And apparently this notify doesn't work that way. Although there may be options to do that. I haven't played around enough. Let's go ahead and add a post. user group. If that's it. Go ahead and save it, nothing here. Let's go back to the notification settings and go to the queue. Yeah, and now we see there's one node created that we hasn't been, the notification hasn't been sent out from. I believe we still have this set to go on cron. So if I run cron, now if I go back to the queue, presumably there's 0 waiting. If I go to the recent logs, it says that user admin was notified successfully. And if I go to my mail pit that I'm using in DDEV, this shows me the emails that have went out, and we have one new mailing. And it's giving me a title and a link to that page. So, and again, if we had this going out once a day, it could be a list of all the posts from that day. My client is really just looking for it for people to be able to be notified of what new articles he's posted, because he's posting multiple articles every day. So after spending time porting the subscription module, I'm now thinking that the notify module, which is already available, might meet our needs. We'll try them both out, and I can report back later. The notify module, yeah, was ported by Graham. It doesn't look like we have a current module maintainer listed. So I don't know, maybe I'm going to become a maintainer of this. Well, the subscriptions module, I didn't get it to actually work today, but I have it installed, and we can at least look at the UI for how it's supposed to work. Now the subscriptions module required this mail edit module. And that might be where the problem is, but you'll see I'm getting an error. We have to work on that getting fixed. I will say, and I haven't played with all of this stuff. Out of the box, this is kind of ugly. It's going to need some theming. You'll see that in a second. But you have the ability to sort of say which content types you don't. I'm a little bit confused. Select the content types which should be removed from the subscription settings. Okay, and which completely, so this implies to me that you don't that you can still subscribe to those content types, but it isn't listed. Whereas this one completely blocks. So I think it's showing all you subscribe to all you can subscribe to all content types by default. It looks like we can use vocabularies to omit certain content types. There are some settings here to maybe make that field set, which we're about to look at, look better. Some email settings. I think that's as far as we're going to go. Let's just go to a sample. So if we open up a test post, one of the things we noticed right away is we have the subscribe box. And this is what I mean about this, just looking very complicated and ugly. I wouldn't want to sort of install that, use this out of the box. We'd have to retheme this and maybe look closer at those settings. Some of the settings might make this look better, but basically, in theory, I now have the ability to subscribe to just this page. So I just get updates about this page, to subscribe to post content, or to subscribe to any post that's created by the user who created this. This is a feature that Notify might not have that subscriptions does. Now if I subscribe to the post content type, does it tell me? Well, let's all go look at my, this also adds a tab to my user, and it shows that I'm subscribed to one content type. There we go. We can see, this would probably be how I could subscribe to content types if they weren't shown. I think you can subscribe to categories or individual pages. But anyways, there's one new post of the content type that I'm subscribed to. But I've noticed if I go to the log, there isn't anything here about sending a message. If I run cron just to be sure, that doesn't, there's still no message. And I do have a mail pit set up for this and I'm not getting anything. So I can't show the actual successful sending of this. But at least I think by looking at the UI, people can get a pretty good sense of what this module is intended to do. It's been around for a while. I think at least since Drupal 6, some work was done, a major work was done in Drupal 7. And I think we'll go ahead. I think we're close enough. We'll try to get it working and get a release of it. If anybody's interested in either this or the Notify module, let me know. Anybody here have experience with either of these modules? No? Okay.
Hmm.
Or any questions for me?
I'm just wondering, I mean, well, it looks from what you've shown that maybe the UI, the sort of admin experience for the Notify module is possibly slightly more intuitive than the subscriptions module. But you said you couldn't find like a link to sign up. I wonder if there's maybe a block. If there's a block of any blocks available that you can add into your layout for signing up to.
Well, the example where I couldn't find a link, I think, was on the forum site, right? Which is using kind of a hybrid. It's not actually. I don't know if it's using the Notify module or if it's using the Notify.
No, I think it was on your demo site.
Oh.
There was no.
Oh,
kind of.
You're right. Yes.
But then that might simply be because you were already signed up.
Yeah, it could be that. It could also be like you say that there's a block. Let's try that quick. No.
No, doesn't look like
There's no Notify block, but there might be one that has a link. There could be another way to do that. Let's look real quickly. Is there anything here about include updated posts? No, there's nothing here about adding a link to notes. So, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, I need to experiment with this a bit more to say, I can't say that's a problem with the module because there could easily be a solution that I just haven't found. I mean, certainly you can on your, we know that you can on your profile, you can go there and pick which content types you wish to be subscribed to. But you'd think there's a better way to do that than that. And I'll maybe play around with that. Okay, should we move on? That's the end of my sort of quick demo. And just for future reference, I'm going to make the pitch that if you come to a user group and want to do a demo, be like me and don't worry about like having solved all the problems. I think it's okay to sort of show where you're at. Obviously, I do because that's what I did. And maybe you get some help from the group, and I'm happy to see that. So I'm going to stop sharing, and we'll go to you, Martin.
Yeah. Let me share screen. Okay, have you got that yet?
Yep, I see it.
Okay, so I was looking around at different applications because a client wanted the password policy module ported, and so I was looking at a few different ones, and I was quite interested by this module. It was available for Drupal, password strength, and it does things in a different way. It has a range of things that it uses to try and look at things. So it has, I'm just trying to, it looks at things like dictionaries. It's got common passwords, common names. It's words from TV shows and movies, common patterns like dates, repeats, sequences, keyboard patterns, and so-called leet speak, which is where you take a word and you think, I know, I'll be really clever and I'll change this letter for this number or this symbol and this letter for this symbol, and no one will ever guess it. Well, apparently they do, and they use that as a pattern. So it looks for things like that, and so what it tries to do is, instead of thinking just how complex something is and working out a score on that, it tries to see how many guesses it will take in order to crack this password. And there are we can think it's on here. We can see on here that by default that there are different ones, that different speeds that are used as by default, which is online if there's throttling, so 100 attempts per hour. Obviously in Backdrop we have flood control, which can limit any online attempts. There's online if there's no throttling at 10 per second. And I think the greatest risk is where you're looking at I suppose someone gets hold of the users table and they try to reproduce the hashes in order to see what password will do. And so they'll look at how many hashes different computers could, different kind of computer configurations could test in time. So you've got slow hashing and fast hashing, and then it comes out with a display that goes from seconds. So we'll do it in this. This is the admin screen where you can select these different levels, either disabled, weak, good, strong, or very strong. And if, say, we do a elite speak version of password, we'll put some numbers on the end. Because I've set should have, wonder if it's just not catching up. Yes, it's catching up now. Sorry, it's being a bit slow. So it's saying that it's going to take less than a second on the fastest track time. So what I've done when I've ported this module is I've updated the library to the latest version, which exposes these kind of crack data, how long it takes to crack, and guesses. I'm not 100% sold on it, because the way everything's configured at the moment, it'll show it strong and yet still show the fastest crack time as being less than a second. you might get to 4 hours with very strong. And the other reservation I have is this particular module, which the PHP library is based on, hasn't been updated in a long time. The PHP module has been updated regularly, but some of the fundamentals about these scoring assumptions haven't necessarily changed. So what I'm trying to do, I've been doing a bit of experiment. So and obviously if you do past phrases, then you can see with this one we're getting it's got dictionary words. It's saying it's very strong, but the fastest crack time is less than 1 second. So, which to me doesn't seem like a very good combination. Let's put another word there, and it goes up to 6 hours. But what we get using this library, this is something that I'm thinking of. But what I might do is just release it as it is, and then add in additional configuration as a feature. We get all the information about how many guesses it takes to crack a particular password. And so what I might do is try and expose the settings for how fast people want to how fast do we want to check it, and maybe tie the scores to how long it takes to crack at that speed, as a slightly different approach, and something that can be adjusted as a future-proof design. Interested for any sort of feedback on this, but I've kind of like tinkered around with it, and it's nearly it needs a few bits more testing on all the different forms. And as I explained in the last meeting, we're trying to get the reset password form, which I'm kind of building this module around on the basis that will get merged. So I'm building it on that basis that it will work on the reset password form according to the new format. Yeah, any thoughts or questions? No. Okay. Sharing.
Okay. Anyone else? Justin, did you have anything?
I have absolutely no idea how many tokens I'm using on
Okay.
this AI tool here in PHP Storm. I'm probably going to use all of them, but it's doing a remarkably cool job of porting this Drupal 11 module to Backdrop. I don't know if it's any faster than the other methods that I've used, but I'm not having to do anything this time.
Okay. Well, we still have a little time. I'm going to just raise an issue and we can get some feedback. So I have one or two sites where we have been particularly concerned about it getting sort of attacked, spam attacks from other sites, or just the servers getting bogged down by IP addresses attacking it. And the one site where we've done the most work on that is on Cloudflare. And so we've used Cloudflare to like block certain IP addresses or traffic from a certain country. Most of my sites will, if you go into a site in the logs and see lots of people searching for like WP admin, right? These are people just sort of probing your site, and usually I kind of ignore that because I'm not seeing high volumes of it that I worry about. But the other day I was noticing on the site that isn't on Cloudflare, and it was getting a real high volume of just random weird page requests coming from one or two IP addresses. And I thought, well, this seems significant enough, it might be worth blocking. And first of all, I don't know, I'm interested in how aggressive other people are at blocking this kind of traffic, whether you worry about it or not. And then two, I'm assuming that like using Cloudflare is a good way to do this. You can also do it at your server level, right? Where you can, I think if you're using Apache, you could just create in your htaccess file or something like that. You can block IP addresses. And I think the advantage of those methods are that they would block the traffic before it ever hits your site. I have a question, which is, well, I'm going to show, dang it, same problem as before, trying to share, have to, but I can't find the share button hidden. There it is. Maybe that's not my problem this time. Sorry. Why is it not letting me share? Okay, I'm just going to talk through and not try to demo this because there's not that much to demo. We've got a couple of, I think there's more than one module that lets you, there's a module called IP blocking and one called ban IP. And I have the ban IP one set up on my server, and it provides a UI where you can enter an IP address and it blocks traffic from that site. A question I have is if you're doing it at that level, I'm assuming then the spam is hitting your site before it's getting blocked. And so is that not as good as server level blocking? Although this particular module, it looks like it also allows you to update your settings.php and list them there rather than doing it through the UI. So one, I'm just looking for feedback on whether or not like using a module is less than ideal for blocking IP addresses. There's another module called IP blocking, which I just tried to install, and there are releases for it, but I just tried to install it and I'm getting some major errors. So I should probably do a bug report. It's not crashing my site, but for example, I can't go to the modules page after I've installed it.
Interesting. I'm using IP blocking on one
Yeah.
site.
Yeah,
I haven't had any issues with it.
Given the other problem I had earlier today, this could have something to do with my local environment. And I would, before I say the module's not working, I should test it on a different site outside of DDEV. but it is not working when I install it on DDEV. I'm a bit confused. I think I also let's come back to you, Martin. It sounds like you're using these modules, so I'd like to hear your feedback. I thought that it was one of these two modules, but it might be a different one that actually looks like it restricts, which allows you to block all traffic except an IP address. And for example, we have set up dev sites for clients that then we use something like htaccess. So they have to enter a password before they can get to the site so that, you know, Google doesn't accidentally scan the archive site, or users don't find it by accident. And now I'm wondering it's a bit of a nuisance. And this module has me wondering if I couldn't use this module to basically block all traffic, to basically allow list just developer or client IP addresses, and use that instead to allow people to access it without making it available to the public. So I haven't tried that module yet, but I just discovered it and I'm interested in trying it. What's your experience? Go ahead, Barton.
Yeah, just on that latest approach with blocking everything except for IP addresses, just to say that when I worked in the public sector, we were working with developers who were doing this for the development site, but it was actually quite problematic for some of our for some people to work out which IP address they were using because of the various kind of firewall things. So when you go to sites like that say, what is my IP address? It would give one IP address, but actually that was completely different to the ones. So that might be all right for your kind of small non-profits, but if you're doing government stuff for government, then it might be, or even large corporations, then that might not work. Or it might be that you can do it, but it takes a bit more digging and interaction with the network people to get the right IP address to allow. I think that the thing that has been most reliable in blocking IP addresses has tended to be that adding it to the htaccess, because it's a single line for each IP address that's just added to the bottom, and in a lot of cases the host has done that, where the host detects that there is an IP address is causing a lot of problem, then they can add that onto the htaccess. And as you say, it blocks it before, so it doesn't cause any burden on the application itself, because it blocks it before it gets to the application. So I do think it can be the better thing. But I say I have got the IP blocking on, but I've only ever used it to block one IP address, just because it was swamping the logs, just hunting for non-existent URLs.
Right.
And so I could easily block it. But in general, I think the htaccess can be more reliable. I think it'd be interesting to get Justin Christopherson's view, given his infrastructure expertise.
Well, let me just quick interject. I would like to hear that too, but I think the advantage of first of all, Cloudflare even blocks it from hitting your server, right? So there's the different levels you can do it at. Of course, well, Cloudflare, the htaccess is like a developer tool, right? So you have to have command line access to the server in order to use that. So the advantages of either Cloudflare or the module is that a client could actually do it themselves, or a site owner, without actually having to SSH into the server. So yeah, the best solution might not be the most practical one. Justin, are you still here, and do you have any feedback for us on that, or anybody?
I'll hop in here if Justin's not available.
Okay,
Yeah, you already got the crux of it, I think, and the further away from your server and the higher up the closer to the person that's making the request or the bots that are making the request, it's better to stop it further away from your website, closer to the user. And so the the ideal thing is that you could block it at the CDN level, Cloudflare or Fastly, or if your host provides its own CDN. And that could actually even include popular Drupal hosting providers like Pantheon. Um, they provide like customer support options. Well, they will block stuff if you request it. So you can contact your host and say, could you block this IP address? And that's the best possible thing because typically that will make it so that if if your host is getting bandwidth, or your web server is tracking like a number of requests per month or something like that, those requests aren't getting tallied towards your overall like traffic to your website, because they're getting stopped before they ever get to your website or before you ever get to your web host.
Mm.
But yeah, I know CDNs, not everybody has one. Not every hosting provider provides one, and there's usually a cost associated with it. So if that's not practical, then go to your web server. Um, and really, like, because of the way Backdrop really is heavily dependent on HT access, if you're using Apache, I think using the HT access file is an excellent solution that is available to almost all site owners, right? Like it's part of the Backdrop code base. It's already there. You just need to modify it to block the IP addresses. And that's a really good solution. And then the least good solution from a security perspective and like bandwidth and like risk to your site are the backdrop modules that do it at the PHP layer, because that's all the way down to where you're taking the request, your web server is taking the request, PHP is starting to use a process and use available memory to check that request. And then, yeah, like you're getting all the way down to your server before you're actually stopping that malicious attempt to, spider your site or figure something out. So I don't know. It's the least good doing a backdrop module, but in many cases it's also the most available.
right.
So yeah, I totally get it, where it's like having solutions available at all of these layers is a really good thing. Um, but yeah, the backdrop module is, if there's another solution available, like I would go there first.
That all makes sense. So, anyways, I think it's just nice to know these modules are out there. I was intrigued again by the idea of being able to allow list IP addresses. I can think of, again, that's probably not the best way to do that, but I can again think of scenarios where it's better than nothing. And I it never occurred to me that there would be a module that would do that. So, and I'll post in Zulip later, the list of the modules that I've looked at, so. Okay, any questions or anybody else have anything to add from your own experience with this stuff? Justin, you must deal with this. What do you do? Justin Kaiser,
Um,
or do you not worry too much about these little,
I do
But
have
they-
Cloudflare.
okay,
I've used another backdrop module that I don't remember if you mentioned, called anti-scan.
anti-scan?
Yeah.
Does that have IP blocking?
Yep.
Oh,
What you
okay.
do is you set up rules in it, and it will automatically block things if they break your rules.
Okay. Yeah, well, that sounds like it's even a little further upstream. Okay,
As I've said, every time I'm going to share the configuration for it. as I've said, every time I talk about this module,
Mhm.
like I have accidentally blocked myself
Oh,
because the office will do things since we're all on the same IP address. It'll do things and then I have to
Mhm.
log in with from a different IP address to unban myself. So
okay.
but you
I'm
can set
presuming
up,
there's not a way to do it on the command line, is there?
there might be. But at any rate, you can set up like the restricted patterns that you want to block, like
Yeah.
the WP admin or whatnot. And if they do it, if they do it beyond the threshold that you set up, then the IP address automatically gets blocked.
Yeah.
So you can do rules like this through something like Cloudflare, but yeah, like I see there that you can do a temporary block, and I can see a use case where a site admin might just want the ease of doing a temporary block. And a module
Yeah.
like that makes it a lot easier.
I think
Oh,
sometimes with Cloudflare, it can be a bit frustrating because it can sometimes be a bit over defensive and will someone tries to go to the site and they have to wait while Cloudflare checks that they're a human. I mean, you don't have to do like a capture or anything, but you get a Cloudflare page saying verifying that you're a human before it then loads the site, which I mean people are probably used to, but it's not the perfect UI solution. So
no, but it gives you the option of like blocking a country without recognizing that there might be a few people. It's like if you're getting a lot of nasty traffic from Azerbaijan, and you feel like, well, I'm hesitant to block the whole country because maybe there's a few people coming through. That's sort of an intermediary step, right?
yeah.
And so I can see where, we're not doing that for everybody around the world, but we're doing it from a place that's where we're getting a lot of nasty traffic. But yeah, it is like that. I mean, I think you can do in Cloudflare, you can do just a complete block, or you can do that kind of thing where it sort of I think they also have the option to do a capture, right? Where it's a little Cloudflare caption that Cloudflare inserts. So anyways,
Yeah. Okay.
okay. Well, I think that's it. We're out of time, so we should wrap up. Thanks, everybody. I believe our next user group is in 2 meetings. If anybody has things they want to share. If somebody wants to do a longer presentation, that's also still good, but we should schedule those in advance, so let us know. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording. Nope, I can't. Nate, are you still here?
Yep, I got it. All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.